Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ranking Member, thank you for convening today's hearing. To our witnesses, thank you for being here. I want to talk about one of the fundamental structural issues with AI, how its design can lead to discriminatory outcomes. These types of generative AI that have captured public attention over the last year produce content based on vast quantities of data. Here's the problem. If those vast quantities of data, those inputs, are biased, then the outcome will be biased as well. Here are a few examples. The Washington Post published a story last month about how AI image generators amplify bias in gender and race. When asked to generate a portrait photo of a person in social services, the image generator Stable Diffusion XL issued images exclusively of non-white people. When asked to generate a portrait photo of a person cleaning, all of the images were of women. In October, a study led by Stanford School of Medicine researchers was published in the academic journal Digital Medicine that showed that large language models could cause harm by perpetuating debunked racist medical ideas. These questions are for any of our witnesses. How can developers of AI models prevent these biased outcomes?
First of all, in terms of both from a security standpoint as well as from a bias standpoint, all teams need to be diverse. And let me just say that from a security standpoint, when we're doing things like red teaming and we're going in and assessing vulnerabilities, we need a team of folks that are not just security people. We need folks who are also very deep in terms of subject matter expertise around AI and how people develop models, train models associated with malware that is adaptive maybe in nature, but those teams don't look like our traditional red teaming teams. On the bias front, same thing. The data scientists, developers, and folks that are building the models and determining the intent of the model need to look like everybody else who is impacted by the model. And that's how we move further away from disparate impact, where groups are impacted more than others. Algorithms control who gets in what school, what kind of insurance you have, where you live, if you get a mortgage, all of these things. These are very important things that impact our lives. And so when folks are building models, the intent of the model and the explainability of the model, being able to explain the purpose, where the data came from, and attribute those sources, being able to ensure that that model is ethical. These are all things that security may be able to point out to you the problem, but the tone is at the top of the organization. In terms
So
of
I want to follow up with you, and then I'll circle back to any of the other witnesses on that first question. But that's the question that we've sort of grappled with on this committee, is one, just the workforce development within the cyber community and what that looks like, and then ensuring, right, especially with AI, as you allude to in your answer, that it's reflective of the larger community. In your opinion, how do we build teams, how do we grow the cyber workforce so it's a diverse group of individuals that can bring these backgrounds into the cyber career?
Well, I think it's commitment. I know that IBM, for instance, has stood up 20 HBCU cybersecurity centers across 11 states. And this is all at no additional cost to the folks who will get this training. I think that AI is not unlike cybersecurity. I think that when we look at the threats associated with AI, it's just an expanding of the attack surface. And so we really need to treat this not as a completely, totally different thing, but employ the tactics that have worked in educating and training people and ensuring that there is not a digital divide in AI and quantum and cybersecurity and all of the emerging technology areas. And I also think that a best practice is to implement these things K through 12. To start when folks are very young, and as they grow and as the technologies evolve, the knowledge can be evolving as well.
Agree with that approach, and would love to build that from an earlier age. I have to pivot real quickly. One of the things that I want to focus on is less than a year before the 2024 election. We see the potential for generative AI increasingly likely spreading misinformation with respect to our elections. For any of the witnesses, what specific risk does AI pose to election security?
So when I think there's too much focus on a specific video or image being created of a presidential candidate. If that happened, every media organization in the world would be looking into whether it's real or not. I think the real danger from AI in 2024 and beyond, and again, you got India, you've got the EU, there's a ton of elections next year. The real problem is it's a huge force multiplier for groups who want to create content. If you look at what the Russians did in 2016, they had to fill a building in St. Petersburg with people who spoke English. You don't have to do that anymore. A couple guys with a graphics card can go create the same amount of content on their own, and that's what really scares me, is that you'll have groups that used to not have the ability to run large professional troll farms to create all this content, the fake photos, the fake profiles, the content that they push, that now a very small group of people can create the content that used to take 20 or 30.
And can be quickly shared, right, through social media. So it's your force multiplier, exactly right. Not just the production, but the sharing quality as well rapidly increases, and then the spread of it, and that's going to be a challenge. I wish I had more time, but the chairman distracted me at the beginning of my line of questioning, so I have to yield back the time that I don't have. Thank
You're
you,
not
sir.
allowed to take time from me, so it's all right. I believe we're going to do a second round because this is so interesting. So.